Do routines stifle creativity? Do systems box you in? What do rhythms have to do with homesteading? In today's episode, I'm going to answer those questions and offer some reasons you should implement all three into your life in order to make your homesteading journey easier. This is the Homesteading for Beginners podcast, and I'm Mona Weathers, your homesteading mentor and coach. If you desire to establish a solid foundation for your homesteading journey, then you are in the right place. I'm here to show you how, in a way that is healthy for you, your family, and your community. I'll share stories from the past 20 years of my own journey and offer you actionable steps you can take to start and maintain a healthy homestead. There was a time I was the most disorganized person I knew. I've come a long way. I'm not nearly as disorganized, but I still have a lot of improvements to make. So let's just say I'm a work in progress. But aren't we all, for some reason or another anyway, right? When I was younger, I had this idea that structure and routines would ruin my creativity. And for a while, I fought against it hard. But after a few years, I realized, after a few years of raising kids and being a homemaker, I realized I was very wrong. And the truth was that routines and structure provided room for creativity. And it's taken me years for me to actually embrace words like systems, routines, and structure. And now that I see their benefit, I'm all about implementing them into most areas of my life. What I once thought would slow my growth because my creativity and my uniqueness would suffer, now is the message I'm sharing with you. I'm sharing that systems, routines, structure are all things that you should be embracing. I want you to have more time to do the things that you love by doing these things that I'm going to mention that will free up time for you. There are many ways to free up your time through efficiency methods, but today I'm going to share 3 things I think you should pay attention to as you journey toward and through this path of homesteading. Let's first talk about routines. Creating and maintaining routines has probably been the hardest for me to embrace. And it still is, really. It's in my nature to just flow through my day by bouncing from one thing to another. I've had to stop lying to myself, basically, by selling myself this idea that this is just the way I am. And I had to change my thinking and take personal responsibility for my thought process and learn the habits that embrace routine. How does routine help you as a homesteader? Most people and animals do better with routine. Children tend to love it because they don't have to guess what's happening, and it tends to make them feel safe. If the children are embracing the routines, then your household will likely feel calmer and less chaotic. So mom and dad will be happier. So that as homesteaders, if you are a homesteader with children or a wannabe homesteader with children, then this is something that you need to take to heart because it really will make your life a bit easier. Just because we have those routines, though, doesn't mean we can't be flexible. I've definitely learned to embrace flexibility over the years. The implementation of routines will free up some of your limited mental energy. I will tell you that this I did not realize this until well into parenting, that my mental energy, the constant exertion of mental energy can be exhausting. It's almost more exhausting than physical energy. I don't know if you can relate to that, but sometimes the mental energy that it takes to think on something over and over again is so much more exhausting than if I were to run a mile or whatever. It just feels so much more tiring. But by setting routines that the family can count on, we save this mental energy for other things, like dealing with those toddler meltdowns, chats with your spouse that you may be not having because you just don't have the mental energy anymore, or like the mental energy to figure out how to fix the fence your goats just escaped from. There are all types of scenarios that will benefit from us saving our mental energy. So by establishing routines, we are able to do that. As I said earlier, animals do better with routines as well. In fact, I think most animals thrive on it. Your chickens will be waiting for you to feed them at the same time each day if you make that a routine. I've experienced this a number of times with a number of animals. If you have dairy goats, or get dairy goats, they will learn to love their milking routine and be ready for you each day. So all of this is not, the routines create this flow throughout your homestead. Setting up routines is just a really good idea. And if you're like I was years ago, resistant to it, I hope you explore the benefits, because it will free up more of your time, and it'll help with your mental energy as well. Okay, now I'm going to talk about rhythms. Years ago, I discovered my homestead operated in rhythms. And this may sound strange, but let me explain. Many of the skills you learn on the homestead are related to living things, like animals, plants, soil, beneficial bacteria, and all sorts of things. And if you spend enough time with these things, you'll be able to recognize their rhythms. For example, if you have ever had a sourdough starter, you know it's a living thing. It needs food and water, and in order to maintain a sourdough starter, you need to figure out the rhythm it lives by. Water kefir, kombucha, fermented foods also live by their own rhythms. The garden as a whole and each individual plant in the garden have their own rhythms. So as homesteaders, our job is to find a balance where we can live alongside the rhythms of other living things. It's another thing that requires our energy, which is why I have given my sourdough starter a name. Like she's a living thing, and sometimes I feel like I'm caring for a baby. I can't remember actually her name, so you see how well I'm caring for her. I think her name is Brittany, but that could have been another Instagrammer that also named their sourdough starter. I'm not sure. I'll have to think on that, because I did have a reason I named her, and I don't think it might not have been Brittany. Right now, my starter is in the fridge taking a nap for the winter, or at least for a few weeks. So it's almost an art to be able to recognize the rhythms of these different living things in your life, and how you can implement them into your life to where you're not overwhelmed, because like I said, they are almost like babies. Certain things that they need care. The next is systems. Creating systems that allow for your life to be more efficient is another way to find time and to save on mental energy. I've been really working on creating systems in my life lately. Well-working systems is like having a group of things and processes that work together seamlessly. So an example of this related to homesteading would be how you do your daily feeding chores. Having a system where you are lining up all the feed buckets, let's say you have several animals, scooping the feed in each bucket in an assembly line, adding their supplements or whatever it is, that's a good system. A poorly run working system would be dishing out each animal's feed, going to feed one, coming back, dishing out another animal's feed, going to feed them. So the system is not efficient, because you actually spending more time feeding the animals. So it's that sort of thing. With homesteading projects, there's all sorts of examples. Taking some time to come up with good systems to improve efficiency is well worth the time and effort to just establish a good system. Once you have a good system in place, it will free up time and mental energy as well. So I highly encourage you to create routines, find rhythms that you can match with other living things in a way that works for your homestead and your family, and then create systems that will allow you to do things efficiently. And this will save up a lot of your time and your energy and create a homesteading experience that you enjoy and not feel overwhelmed by. All of these topics I mentioned today will also help you if you're planning to start one or more homestead income streams this year. So I'm all about finding patterns in things to make my life more efficient. And one of those patterns is doing some of the things I do on the homestead and bringing them into other parts of my life, like business, friendships. I don't know. There's so many things you can bring from what you learn on the homestead into the rest of your life. So if you're trying to create income streams this year, then implement some of these things as well. For the past few months, I've been spending a lot of time focusing on setting up workflows and systems and schedules and routines for my own business and getting ready to help you with yours. This will allow me to free up my time and mental energy so that I can be the best teacher and support system I can be during the upcoming Homestead Income course that I'm creating. As I mentioned in the past couple of episodes, this course idea came to me after the reaction I received from the content I've been creating on Homestead Income. My most downloaded podcast episodes and some of the most viewed content on social media, YouTube, and Pinterest are all on the topic of homestead income. And it's not really surprising, really. But for this reason, I've decided to spend 2023 creating resources for you to get started with your 3 income streams: the on-homestead income, off-homestead income, and online income. And we will be starting with building your online income with digital products and services. I encourage you to get on my Homestead Income email list if you want to learn about the stay up to date on the courses that are coming up, the free resources I have coming up, and all of the stuff. So click on the link in the description or go to healthyhomesteading.com/homestead income and sign up to be on the email list. My desire is to see a shift in the homesteading lifestyle by equipping as many people as I can with the skills needed to start and maintain at least 3 income streams that will set homesteaders up to be not just more self-sufficient, but also financially comfortable. So I encourage you to get on the list so that you stay up to date on that. So that is all I have for you today in episode 23. I hope your 2023, that is so funny. Number 23 is my first episode is in 2023. So that's really interesting. I just noticed that. But anyway, I hope your year so far has been great and that you continue to pursue your dreams. And I will talk to you next week. If you are enjoying this podcast, I would really appreciate it if you would take a minute to subscribe or follow. By doing this, you will be helping the podcast to be seen by more people. And I do love reading nice reviews too. Don't forget to visit healthyhomesteading.com for more information on how I can serve you. Until next week, I want you to keep dreaming, keep believing, and keep planning for your homesteading success.